You're listening live to The World According to Rocky, and I am your host, Rocky Miller. We have a very special guest today, someone who is very important in the community and serves a great purpose. But before we get started, there's something I want to share with you. I'll be right back. All right, I am back. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. We have a great show planned for you guys. We're going to have a lot of valuable information. We're going to, with no further ado, let me go ahead and bring up my very special guest tonight, which is John Alexander, the CEO of Habitat for Humanity. Thank you, John. I appreciate you coming on the my podcast. I know this is outside duty hours, so
I'm glad to have the chance, Rocky. Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
All right. So when I get started with everybody, I'd like to come out and get to know the person. I know you're here to talk about Habitat, but when you take a few minutes out to kind of tell us who you are and how you found your way to Waco.
Okay, great. Yeah, I grew up in Houston and went to school, college at Texas A&M. After I graduated there, I was looking for some volunteer work to do and went with Habitat for Humanity in Georgia. So that's how I got my start with Habitat. And I actually was a full-time volunteer there, getting room and board for 5 years. I ended up being there and learned how to build Habitat houses and all about Habitat's work. Really fell in love with the organization. Met my wife and got married to her. She was actually a Baylor graduate, so it's also from Texas, but we met in Georgia. We went down and worked in Nicaragua for 3 years. We worked with a health project through the Mennonite Church, and I did some construction, and she did health education. And when we were finishing up our time there, we were looking for where we were going to settle back in the United States. And the job at Waco Habitat opened up, and we came here to be part of Waco Habitat and to be part of a church called Hope Fellowship, which is a little Mennonite church here in North Waco.
Okay, John. Hey, look at here. Somehow, Baylor ties always find their way back to Waco, the home base, and we want.
That's right. She never thought she'd be back.
I want to thank your wife for bringing you back, because man, you've done since being in our community. You and Habitat for Humanity have made a great contribution. And so I know many people may know what Habitat for Humanity is, and they may have a understanding of what they do as far as building homes. But what's your mission? What do you want people to know about the mission of Habitat for Humanity?
Sure. What Habitat, we bring the community together to build homes in partnership with low-income families. So our ultimate mission is to help people move out of poverty housing into their own safe, decent, and affordable house. People probably know Habitat from seeing the volunteers on TV raise the walls of houses, and that's what we're known for. We use about 70% of our labor on our houses are volunteers. So volunteers come out and help build. And part of those volunteers are the homeowners who are going to be buying their houses. So what we call ourselves a partnership housing ministry. And part of that partnership is the homeowners putting in sweat equity to help build other Habitat homes and then their own home.
Okay. And so that's a great mission. And so I got a couple questions about that. I know Habitat, that's one thing that Habitat does in our community. How many houses have you guys built?
We built 176 houses here in Waco.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And do you concentrate them in a neighborhood, or how do you go about choosing site locations and things like that for a house?
We started out for about the first 10 years we built in North Waco in Brook Oaks and Sanger Heights. But then we spread out into basically all of central Waco where there's all those vacant lots. So we built in North, South, and East Waco. But pretty much the center part of town, we haven't built out in the suburbs or anything.
And okay, so you say mostly in North Waco is where you build most of your houses. Do you guys have do you guys go off some type of civic plan that you guys work off of, or do you guys just kind of build based on availability? Or
Yeah, the main thing is the availability of lots, properties that's why we've built in North, South, and East Waco, as there's been properties available in those areas. Right now, we're concentrating our work in East Waco because we had the opportunity to purchase a group of 8 properties over there that were all on the same 2 blocks. So that's been a great opportunity to work in one location for a little while.
well, I'm happy to hear that you're building homes in East Waco, because East Waco is a part of the city that's near and dear to my heart. It's where I grew up, where I have so many connections, and I think it's a foundational part of the city. And so it has been neglected, in previous years, not necessarily by Habitat for Humanity, but you can see through the vacant lots and deteriorating roads and things of that nature, there's just been a lack of investment of infrastructure and things like that. And I'm so happy to hear that you guys are building housing in East Waco. Now, now with your program, you guys you don't build a house then sell it. You guys build it for a specific person.
That's exactly right.
And so, but what I want you to go into that a little bit. But before we go into it, I want everybody who's listening to know that if you have a question for John, if you'd like to post a question for John, please put it in the comments, and hopefully I'll see it and read it, and we'll get it answered. Because this is the important part of the broadcast, is that where you're going to give people an idea of what the process is like in getting on the list to have a home built. And so that's kind of what I wanted. If there are any, because I know there's not one consideration. I know there's a number of considerations. So can you just kind of walk us through that process of how a person would get a home built by Habitat for Humanity?
Yeah, and the important thing to know about Habitat, a lot of people have a misconception. We don't give the houses away. We sell the houses to the homeowner. What's key to Habitat's program, though, is we sell them at cost and with no interest on the mortgage. So you can imagine that the no interest part of it is what makes it affordable for very low income families. And the way we choose families, the way they're selected into the program and approved, is based on 3 criteria. Their first criteria that we look at is their income, and we work with people between 30 and 60% of area median income. And what that means in real terms is, for instance, a family of 4, that would be about $19,000 a year up to about $40,000 a year. So
wow.
So that's folks that aren't able to buy a home through any other means.
So yeah, the people you help would not be in the home ownership market.
Absolutely
if it had not be for your program, right?
Absolutely.
They wouldn't have, because another question I was going to ask you, with the rise in home prices in our community, how do you guys actually keep it affordable for someone making $19,000 to $40,000 a year?
Well, the 2 key things are, 1, we don't charge interest on the loan, and second, we've spread out our loans to where they're 30-year notes now, so that the monthly payment is lower. And what's important about Habitat, though, because you're not paying interest, having a longer note doesn't mean you're paying more money like a conventional loan. It actually means it just means you have a lower monthly payment. And of course, if a family wants to pay their house off sooner, they can, but there's no financial advantage to that like there is on a conventional loan that has interest on it.
I
So
I want to just bring this point up, John. Is that means that if you guys don't charge interest, that means every dollar that you pay toward your mortgage goes toward lowering the principal of your home.
that's
Like
exactly
that's
right.
something that most of us don't have the option of.
That's not the way I bought my house, Rocky. I
When
didn't.
you look at an amortization chart, you'll
Yeah,
see that you don't get to start making considerable uh payments toward principal till you're well into your loan.
yeah.
But in your case, day one, they're paying down principal and there's no interest. That in and of itself makes the product worth it. I
Well,
mean,
and yeah, part of what that does, it empowers people with equity in their home. And as you know, for us, for most of us, the home is the number one source of wealth building for a family. And that's especially true for lower income homeowners. For like it's like 85% of low income families that are homeowners, the almost all their wealth is in the equity of their home. So, like you said, on a Habitat home, they're building equity from the start by those house payments.
that's incredible. That's incredible. When you talk about a person, so just I know that in the 30 years that Habitat's been in our community, home prices have fluctuated, right?
Yeah,
So can you just give us an idea of what you guys charge for maybe a 3-bedroom house and then what their payment would be
sure.
over
Yeah,
30 years?
yeah. The our houses that we're building right now, as you said, the construction prices have really gone up, but they're about $100,000 is what they're selling for the payable mortgage on the house, and that translates into a house payment of about $500 a month, but that includes the taxes and the insurance. So actually, a good portion of that 500 is going to pay taxes and insurance, but that's still
Wow.
a very affordable mortgage.
So who holds the mortgage on your houses? Just, you know.
We do. Waco Habitat for Humanity holds the mortgage. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Well,
yeah,
that's awesome because again, you guys don't charge any interest. You keep the cost of building the house down by having volunteers provide 70% of the labor. There are things related to the construction costs that you guys cannot control that way. And what are those what are those things?
Well, the biggest thing lately in the last several months has been the cost of lumber. Uh, when you see a house being built and you see the OSB or plywood going on the house, on the walls and on the roof, those sheets of plywood have gone up from about $9 a sheet to about $30 a sheet in the last 6 months. And on a Habitat house, there's 100 of those sheets of plywood. So you multiply that by $21, and you've got a $2,000 increase in the cost of the home that we're building this year compared to last year, and we
Wow.
don't have any control over those costs as well.
Wow, that is that's considerable.
That's considerable.
Um,
$2,000 is a lot of money. Yeah,
but the key thing is that they're not also paying interest on that $2,000. So
exactly.
so
And that's one of the things you had asked about how they qualify. Another thing we look at with families is their history of making payments. We don't look at a credit score, Rocky, the way everybody else would look at. If you went to the bank, the first thing they're going to do is pull your credit and see what your credit score is. We really don't look at that because for the very low income families, they may not have a credit history, so they may not have a credit score, or they may have a lot of medical bills that are bringing down their credit score, and that blocks people from being able to get a mortgage. We don't look at the credit score, but we do look at the history of making payments. Have you been paying your apartment rent? Have you been paying, have you paid utilities? Do you have a lot of credit card debt? So we want to know that you're going to be able to purchase the house, but we're not the same as going into a bank and trying to get a loan.
yeah, I spent a little time working in the mortgage industry
Mm-hmm.
and qualifying people for mortgages. So I'm familiar with that process. And there are so many things to consider when qualifying someone for a home purchase. Um, but the truth of the matter is, most people pay their rent.
Yeah,
Otherwise they'll be on the street.
yeah,
And so in that, and I'm glad to hear that because simply if someone pays their rent, then they have the potential of qualifying for a loan.
That's exactly right. And we'll work with people. If there's some problems with their credit history, we'll let them know what those are and work on a plan. Sometimes we're able to accept a family into the program and just they have a financial plan to work through. Other times we recommend them to another group like maybe Grassroots Waco that does a lot of credit counseling. And then they work on those credit problems and then come back to us to get approved at a later date.
Like I say, this is a great program in large part because you guys service a group of people that otherwise don't have options, as we said before.
Yeah.
And so if you're a family that falls, and I don't want to repeat this, in that $19,000 to $40,000 frame. Now you said family of four originally, but essentially, if you're a family and you make under $40,000, I definitely would reach out to Habitat for Humanity and see what it would take to qualify. Now, John, where can they go to kind of start the process?
Sure. The best way to go is to our website at wacohabitat.org. And actually, we're not taking applications right now because we're full of qualified families. We've got enough families to build with for the next probably 18 to 24 months. And so we have a waiting list on our website where people can put their name and contact information, and we'll contact them and let them know when we're taking applications again. But that's the best place to go is straight to that website and type in your name and email and phone number, and we'll let you know when we're taking applications.
Well, that's great, man. That is great work. One of the things when we set up this you to come on this podcast, we talked about how oftentimes we don't really know. We think we know someone like Habitat who's been in our community for 30 years. But I think you guys should really spend time telling your story of the impact that you guys have made here in Waco and McLennan County. Because when you're talking about 170 homes to a group of people that otherwise would not be able to purchase or afford a home, that's a huge impact. And I guess going back, 30 some odd years, there are lots of families who've paid those houses off and now are mortgage free.
That's exactly right. We have people paying off their houses every year. Those original houses we built had 20-year notes, so those folks have all paid them off. I came here and started working with Habitat in Waco in 1996. So a lot of the houses that I helped build, I've seen them pay them off, and that's exciting. To be able to tell that homeowner, hey, that's your last payment. Now all you got to do is pay your taxes and insurance to stay in your house. But I've seen, Rocky, people change. I remember we've moved people out of terrible housing conditions because if you can only afford $300 or $400 a month for rent, your housing options are very limited. And I've seen people whose health has just improved. I had a gentleman come in after he'd been in his house for the first winter, and he came in the spring and he said, John, this is the first winter I ever made it through where I didn't get sick all winter long because my house wasn't, keeping out the elements. And so in my new Habitat house, I'm warm and dry, and that's made a difference in my health. The other great thing I've seen is children of Habitat homeowners who were little bitty when we were working on the house have gone on and graduated from college or going to grad school or going on to have their own careers. And I've had a number of those young people tell me what made a difference was having a place to come home and study. And just the fact that we didn't have to move every couple of years because we had our own stable, affordable house, and being able to come home and do my homework helped me to get where I am today. And that's the kind of story that just really makes you happy to be part of this work.
A lot of us who are blessed to have always grew up in a situation where we have found ourselves having access to a stable home and reasonable accommodations as far as a home, doesn't realize the hardship it is when you're out there and you cannot find adequate housing that meets your needs.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's so important in this situation, because the community that you serve, the people that are paying $400 to $500 a month in rent, now they're going to get so much more when they get their habitat home. You know,
Absolutely, and it's building that equity, but also the pride of home ownership, to have a place that you call your own, and habitat homeowners typically stay in their houses. They don't move a lot. Of course, it's the best deal you're ever going to find, and for the most part, they stay with their houses throughout their lives, and hand those houses on down to their kids when that time comes.
well, that's what I was gonna ask you a dumb question earlier. I was
Okay.
like, hey, do you find that most people refinance their homes? But at the end of the day, um, why would you refinance a zero interest
The,
loan? Like that would be the most ridiculous thing
that's
you could
that's
do. You could do
that's
with your
exactly
home.
right, and we don't have a whole lot of that. I can't even think of a situation where that's happened. So yeah, you
Well,
can't get any better than zero interest loan.
nah, that is as close to free as you could possibly
Mhm.
get. Again, you got to understand these people will have to pay to live somewhere,
Right.
and you guys provide a opportunity for them to have their own home, something that they could pass down from generation to generation. One of the things that people, East Waco is a passion of mine, and there's a lot of development going on and things of that nature.
Hmm.
And a lot of people want to come in and take advantage um, of the depressed values and purchase and then build a business or invest and resell. And all of them have the notion that they want to come in and that provide economic development or whatever. But the people in those existing communities, John,
Hmm.
really want to have ownership and equity stake in their
Hmm.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I see Habitat for Humanity as being a partner in people in East Waco achieving that goal of having ownership and equity stake.
Yeah.
So if you are a family out there, if you are someone who owns a lot in East Waco, and you want to sell it, or you want to pass it on to someone who would really benefit from that lot, please reach out to John or in some way, because
Absolutely.
when we were having the conversation last week about it, you were saying how expensive the lots have gotten in East
Hmm.
Waco uh, just in the past couple years, and so that means that with you guys working on a very limited budget into building a house, it's important that you guys get those lots while they're affordable before the price goes through the roof. Is that correct?
That's correct, and there are a lot of vacant lots throughout East Waco. Just driving around, you see, and it's hard to find who owns them, and they may be owned by a family, a lot of different family members, so it's hard to get a clear title to them. But if anybody has property that they'd either like to donate or sell in Central Waco, we'd definitely be interested in talking about it. And East Waco is certainly an important part of that vision. And like you said, if we put a house on it and we sell it, that homeowner has ownership and equity in that property, and that's what we want to do. I do want to say that uh, I always use the term family for talking about our homeowners. A family can be one person. It doesn't have you don't have to have kids to buy a habitat house. You can be a single person. You can be a couple. We don't discriminate on any kind of family. However your family is made up, we'd be glad to work with you for a habitat house.
Okay. And again, I just want to let you know, I want to thank you, because giving people an opportunity to purchase and own is awesome.
Yeah.
Now, that's one group of people that you serve, right?
Yeah.
And I want to
Yep.
get to a program. Those people who hung on now, that are still watching us, are about to find out about a program where you not only help people who also want to buy a home, but you have programs actually to help existing homeowners. Can you talk about some of those programs as well?
Yeah, right now we have an emergency repair program that is a response to the winter storm that we had come through here last month. And a lot of people might have experienced damage, especially busted water pipes, is what we've seen a lot of. And through the Waco Foundation and the Magnolia Foundation, we actually have some funds to help those homeowners who have some kind of damage from the storm. And we actually need applicants for that program. We had some generous donors, and so if you live in the greater Waco area and you experience some kind of accident, like your water's off or your plumbing burst or something like that, you can go to the same place, the WacoHabitat.org website, and download that application and get it to us, and we can help you to fix your house from the storm and get your water turned back on, get your water to stop leaking so that your money's not going down the drain that way. Get your house back in good condition.
Does the repair have to be related to the storm?
For our program right now, that's the only repair program we have right now. We have in the past had repair programs at Waco Habitat and hope to have them again. But right now, the only repair program we have is the emergency repair program from the winter storm.
So if a person had pipes busted,
yeah,
any type of roof damage or anything like that, would roof damage also be?
Yeah, we could do roof damage. We haven't done that. We've done some electrical where the ice on the electrical lines pulled them down. We did a project like that. But most of what we've seen is the plumbing, of course, is the havoc that was wreaked by those freezing temperatures for a week.
Well, there's one other program I wanted to talk to you about before we get to my wife's favorite subject, the restore.
Okay.
But,
yeah.
What can you tell us about the accessibility program, about building ramps and things like that? Is that also something that existing homeowners can benefit from?
We do. We have a program called Ramps and Rails, and we work with another nonprofit called Texas Ramps. They provide the volunteers, and we provide the funding for homeowners who need a ramp. You can we built a lot of them in East Waco and throughout Central Waco. But if you're in that program, actually serves McLennan County as a whole. So if you're a homeowner that needs a ramp to be able to enter into your house, and the emergency repair program and the ramps program are both no cost programs. There's no payback required for those. So that's a little bit different than our normal model. But for these emergency situations and for the needs of disabled people to enter their houses, we don't have a payback part of that.
So when you say no cost, does that also mean free?
Yeah, that means free. Exactly. So yeah. There's no zero interest loan. It's just we do the work and that's it. Yeah.
Well, that's great. There are a lot of people, and I've had several friends and family who experienced damage during the storm. Luckily, we did not have any, and so I know there are a lot of people out there that can actually use some help getting their house repaired. So again, go to WacoHabitat.org and fill out the application. Is there a link to the emergency home repair program on the first page?
Yeah, it's on the front page. You can down at the bottom of the front page, you can get that application. And the application also includes our income requirements. We actually go up to 80% of median income on that program, so it's a little bit higher than our home ownership program. But those quantity, the amount you have to make is there on the Habitat page. Yeah,
so
down.
I'm looking at the Habitat page now.
Yeah, scroll down to the bottom of that. There it is, right there. You just go back up a little bit. Right there, Winter Storm Emergency Repair Program.
Okay. And this is This is the application.
That's the application, right?
And this is the application in Spanish.
Exactly.
That's awesome. And okay. What about the Ramps and Rails is right there as well?
Yeah, that's the Ramps and Rails program, right. And I think we've got the application for that on there as well.
even though also you guys aren't accepting applications for home ownership, you still can go in and put your name on the list. And
Exactly.
let's not ever forget that you guys are always accepting donations, I'm sure, because that's
Yeah.
the lifeblood of any nonprofit, as my wife and I understand as
Yeah.
running a small nonprofit,
Yeah.
that donations are what allow you to do the good work that you are that you go out
Exactly.
and do for people in the community. So
That's how we're able to build houses, is because the donors donate funds to help us to do that. So yeah, that's key.
what that's good. And like I say, the last thing I want, and like I say, my wife, she knows, she's very familiar with the Restore, and I think it's a gem in our community
Mm-hmm.
that many people know. You know Home Depot, you know Lowe's,
Mm-hmm.
but tell us what the Restore is and how it works with or
Sure.
as part of Habitat for Humanity.
Yeah, what the Restore is, a building materials recycling center. So we take donations of new and used building materials and sell them to the public at bargain prices. So we get all kinds of things. We've got a 14,000 square foot warehouse that has well, we have paint, we have electrical items, ceiling fans, doors, windows. We have plumbing stuff. We've got
Cabinet.
trim and basically all kinds of things that get donated, and some of it's new, some of it's used. And then in addition to the warehouse, we have a lumber yard outside that's got sinks and toilets and windows. And then we've got a brick yard where we have the pavers like you use in your landscaping or a walkway at your house. That's probably that a gem of Waco habitat, because no other restores don't have that. Jewel Concrete, where they make those here in Waco, and they sell them to Home Depot and Lowe's. And when they have extras or they quit making one kind and they got too many of them, they donate those to us. And so that if you're in the need of landscape pavers, definitely come by the restores. That they're actually half price until the end of the month. So Wednesday will be our last half price day on the pavers and bricks.
Well, that's great, because there are a lot of. Do you have different colors of bricks and all different?
We have a whole parking lot full of them. So yeah, you can drive by over there and go. The restore is open from Wednesday through Saturday is when we're open to the public, basically 9 to 5. And you just got to come by and see what there is, because you never know what you're going to find there. I bought flooring there. I bought some doors there for my home rehab project. And the great thing about the restore is that money that is raised through the selling of the materials goes to help us build more Habitat for Humanity homes. So it serves two purposes. It helps build Habitat homes, and it keeps usable building materials out of the landfill and makes them available for really good prices.
Well, that's awesome. And so, in essence, if you're doing a house, a rebuild or
Mm-hmm.
remodel, and even if you're a contractor and
Yeah,
you're looking for products that you could use, it would behoove you to stop by the restore before going to Home Depot or Lowe's or some
yeah,
place like that and pay full price, where you guys have all the bargains, man. So
yeah.
that's great.
And
Um,
and the flip side of that is, if you're a contractor or a homeowner that's doing a project and you're taking out your old kitchen cabinets, you can donate those cabinets to the restore. Any kind of usable building materials. If you're swapping out your doors or something like that, we can. Or if you have leftover materials after you're done with your project, we can take those donations and sell them. That's how we make our money.
that's awesome, man. It's it's obvious that Habitat in Waco is doing a lot of good work, and you guys have and personally, I look forward to seeing all the great work that you guys are doing in East Waco, because that's exciting that you
Yeah.
guys have. How many homes are you going to build here?
Well, we've got right now, we've got 8 properties that we're building on. We've got 2 houses under construction, getting ready, laying the foundation for another one. But over the next 2 years, we're going to build 8 or 9 houses over there near the Quinn campus. the old Quinn campus where the Y is. Yeah.
So you guys showed me that you guys build houses for families. And
Yes.
so and you guys are going to open up the opportunity to apply soon at some point.
Yeah, probably in the fall. I'll have to come back on your show, Rocky, when we
Okay.
we open up, so we can get that word out there about the application process. It's a good problem to have. We have so many qualified families. That's good, but it takes the families a good while. It takes them about 18 months to work their way through the program. They do their sweat equity, helping to build other people's houses, and they do homeowner education courses about budgeting, home maintenance, home safety, that kind of thing. And during that same period, they're also saving for their first year's taxes and insurance. We don't have a down payment, but you've got to save up enough to pay that first year tax and insurance before you purchase the house. So it's some work for the homeowners, but it's a great, as you pointed out, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to own a house for families that otherwise would not be able to purchase their own home.
If you have been if you find yourself in a situation in our community and want to purchase a home, and for whatever reason you've been turned down for income and you make less than $40,000 a year, you should definitely talk with Habitat. Yep. Again, John mentioned that the window's closed right now, but it will be opening up later in the year. He'll come back on, and I'm sure you guys are going to do some media blitz letting people know that and like I said, I personally look forward to seeing those homes that you build in East Waco, and also seeing you provide adequate housing in an area that there's not been a lot of I know Neighborhood Works has done some construction. I don't know that those houses would fall in the category of affordable, but I will say what you guys are building is definitely affordable, and you guys are doing it in a very ethical fashion by not charging interest and making the homes affordable, and making sure that the families who move in have equity on day one. And so that's a beautiful opportunity for a low income family. And so I just applaud you guys for all the work you do. I want to thank not only you, John, but your staff over at Habitat for Humanity for all that they do as well. Make sure you tell them, give them a big pat on the back for all that they do.
Thank you.
We're wrapping up here, John, but is there anything you want to say on your way out about what you guys do, or any message you want to send to the people?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, and Habitat is deeply rooted in the community, has been here for over 30 years, and bringing people together to show God's love in action is what we're about, and bringing people together to build homes, community, and hope. And if you want to be a part of that as a volunteer, as a donor, or as a homeowner, go to wacohabitat.org and you can find out how to get involved with us.
All right, John. I want to thank you again, man. You've been one of my all-time greatest guests. My favorite guest is my mother. She was my first guest, and so she's my favorite. But other than that, man, you're right up there because of all the great work that you guys are doing and what you're doing, not only in the city of Waco, but specifically with the projects you're building in East Waco. I know there's a lot of people that have an interest in moving into East Waco, and trying to find adequate housing is a challenge. And so I want to, you provide us hope for a lot of people in that they can, there will be adequate housing. And again, if you are a family, if you are an owner of a lot in East Waco, please reach out to John. If you would like to donate or purchase, if you like to volunteer as well, that's always an opportunity. I just got a ding in my ear. It just distracted me. But no, if you want to volunteer or donate or be a part of Habitat, please don't hesitate. We're going to sign off. This is Rocky Miller with The World According to Rocky. Much love, and I'm out.
Thank you.